Hello everyone, my name is Alec, and I want to welcome you to the first episode on our Hero's Journey series. This is the first part of a multi-part series that will guide you through the creation of your own story. Today, we'll be talking about the hero's journey and how we can apply this structure to your own story. Before we begin, it is important to understand what the hero journey is. In storytelling and narrative, the hero's journey is a template or a common structure that divides the journey of the protagonist in three distinct acts: the departure act, the initiation act, and the return act. The term was popularized by Joseph Campbell, who was influenced by Carl Jung's view of myth. In his 1949 work, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Campbell described the basic narrative pattern as follows. A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from his mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boon or provide blessings onto his fellow men. These three acts are then divided into smaller segments that help drive the story forward. In Campbell's book, there are 17 stages. However, we will be using Christopher Vogler's template, which has 12 of these stages. In the departure act, we have ordinary world, call to adventure, refusal of the call, meeting with the mentor, and crossing the threshold. This is where we meet our character. We get to understand the rules and characteristics of the world the story is set in, and we learn about the motivations and drivers that the people have in the story. In Friday's Pyramid, another common storytelling structure, this would be the equivalent to the exposition and the inciting incident. Despite usually accounting for a small fraction of the runtime in movies and not many pages in novels, this is an essential part of any story. It is here where we can create believable and relatable characters. The big fight or the main race at the end of the film can be the most exciting part, but it would not mean anything if we didn't have any proper world building or character creation beforehand. The initiation act is divided into 4 different parts: test allies and enemies, approach to the inmost cave, the ordeal, and reward. Cue a training montage. Well, we don't have any training montages right now, but we're working on them. In most movies and books, this is where the character embraces the journey and sets out to face challenges, adventures, peril, and everything that is exciting. Allies are made, friendships are forged, broken, skills are acquired, and the plot thickens. This tends to be the longest part in a book and has the most pages in a novel. It will be the rising action and the climax in Friday's Pyramid. The final act, the third act, is divided into 3 parts: the road back, the resurrection, and return with the elixir. Now, this is the true climax of the story. We have the ordeal in the previous section. However, it is on the road back and the resurrection stages where our character faces the biggest challenges yet. It is a final showdown, the climactic scene of every Marvel Cinematic Universe film ever made. The main conflict is solved, and the hero can return to their people in triumph, with something to show for their efforts. It does not need to be an elixir, it can be a trophy or a prize. Now, this video will focus on the 3 first stages of the departure act: ordinary world, the call to adventure, refusal of the call. For this, I would use my own story for an example, for you guys to build on. For the ordinary world stage, I will refer back to when I used to live in Tecate, a small and quiet town about half an hour away from Tijuana, where I live now. In most ways, my life in Tecate could be compared to Bilbo's experience in The Hobbit. I spent most of my time at my parents' home, devoting my days to hobbits and hobbies. I didn't really expect much of life. This was especially true when I was in high school. I daydreamt of living somewhere else, traveling far away, and moving to a different country, but when it came to making a decision, or actually moving out of my parents' house, well, let's just say that I wasn't much braver than Bilbo is at the beginning of the story. If I had to sum it up in one sentence, I would say that I was a small-town boy that probably would have wound up studying at a local college and getting a 9-to-5 job. There's nothing wrong with that. It is just not very adventurous. I might have ended up being a respectable hobbit, although a very boring hobbit at that. It is a bit more difficult to pinpoint a call to adventure in a refusal of the call, mostly because I feel that in the real world, we don't end up with 13 dwarves breaking into our home in the middle of the night, or aliens suddenly appearing in the horizon. These things can be a little bit more abstract in our lives. My first call to adventure came when I visited Wiese in Tijuana with my dad. This was 10 years ago, and he was getting a degree as a language teacher then. My parents actually mentioned that maybe I would like to study there, and I remember thinking that I would rather die than study in Tijuana. I think I even said to them that I hated this city. To me, leaving the trees and the smell of the brewery and the sunsets for concrete, smoke, crowds, that was not going to fly with me. To me, that is what Tijuana was back then. It was an overcrowded, hectic, smelly place that had nothing to offer to me. The second call to adventure came when I was in high school, and my parents were worried about my education. They mentioned that maybe I should study at CETIS instead of the high school where I was currently studying in Tecate. They thought that I could use a better education and that it would probably be good for me. I was not on board with that. I was not going to leave my friends and my girlfriend for some unknown school that probably was not even that good. And it's funny how that turned out. Once again, I refused a call. The third and final call, although this one turned out to be more of a courtship that would inevitably draw me to Tijuana, came when I was in college. Because I wanted a history degree, I had to study at UABC in Tijuana. You know, the place where I would rather die than study. I was reluctant, of course, and never really felt like I wanted to explore or live the city. I commuted back and forth every day from Tecate to Tijuana, and even though it was exhausting at times, that was just the way I liked it. I was still a small-town boy at heart and would continue to be one until I met my mentors. In my case, there were more than one mentor. That will need to wait, though, until next time, when we revisit the refusal of the call and move into meeting with a mentor and finally crossing the threshold. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. And if you guys need more information on the topic, feel free to access the links that are in the description. Thank you for watching this. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next class. Please refer to the comments. Please refer to the description below if you guys have any questions. No. Also, oh my goodness.